Hey there, welcome to Todd Talks, the podcast where we're shining a light on brilliant local businesses making life better for families with little ones. I'm Bill from Toddler Belt, and in each episode we'll have a natter with one of our amazing partners, finding out what makes them tick, how they're helping parents, and how being part of the Toddler Belt family is helping them thrive. So grab a cuppa, put your feet up if the kids will let you, and let's dive in. Hi James, thanks for coming. I obviously know who you are. Why don't you, in your own words, tell us who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm James Nugent and I'm the founder of Ducks to Water. We teach independence, water safety and essential life skills through swimming lessons. Over the last 15 years, I've taught thousands of children how to be safe, confident swimmers. My personal mission now is to improve the way swimming is taught in schools and to highlight why it's essential to learn to swim, especially for the children who are neurodiverse.
So that's a really interesting point, particularly the neurodiverse bit. How are you doing that?
So, Bill, I was diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia when I was 7. So it's something I've kind of lived through, and through living through it and understanding that I never found formal settings or rigid settings to be the easiest, I devised a different way of trying to do things, trying to look at every child as if they're a unique swimmer, teaching each child as an individual and trying to put the support systems in place in our swim school.
And is that scalable? If like for all your classes and all your sessions, are they all following this blueprint? And is it manageable?
To begin with, it wasn't plain sailing. We have smaller classes. So with our early stages, preschool and stage 1, we have 2 adults to 6 children, just a ratio of 3 to 1. As you progress through the swim school, the ratio changes from 6 to 1. As the children need less support, the numbers increase. We spend a lot of time on training our teachers, so the teachers understand every child's different. Every child has to move and be taught at a slightly different pace. One thing that we've done at Ducks to Water, which is quite a new thing, is we offer something called progress boosters. So every child within our swim school is offered up to 3 one-to-ones to help them through whatever issue they're struggling with. And this kind of bore from, I've got a young son who's recently had a formal diagnosis for ADHD, and looking at the support he's having at school, I thought, why can't we do that in our swim school?
So what would that one-to-one look like?
So what happens is we have leaders at the pool, and if we discover a child has been stuck at the same place for a couple months, they're just not getting it in the group, we then contact the parents, and this child is given a different day, a different time, where they get up to 3 one-to-ones.
Oh, great.
The teacher who's teaching that session knows what they're trying to work towards, and it's specifically tailored to their needs. And we've found, we've got some really, really good results from it. Parents are very receptive, and it actually means the flows through the lesson, the other lessons flow much better, because, instead of one child getting stuck, kicking or not turning their feet out, it means we can fix it, and then they carry on their journey.
Jump back into the classroom setting and
exactly.
Or pool setting and join the group again.
Exactly, and we don't even actually take them out of the group. So they stay in their same group, same time, and they get the additional support.
Another session.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. So look, we've sort of worked out what your USP is.
Yes.
Right? So we know what Ducks to Water are doing differently. Let's talk a little bit about you. Like, how long have you been swimming and your qualifications? I've got my 25 metre, so you're the expert. So what have you done in the past?
So, swimming is something I talk to friends about this, and I actually can't remember ever not being able to swim. I was born in Zimbabwe. My dad's from Liverpool, my mum's from Zimbabwe, and we grew up with a swimming pool.
That is an interesting accent at home, right?
It is. It is interesting. It is certainly that. And so I grew up with a swimming pool. So for me and my brothers, we swam every day. Swimming is in our blood. My mum would often say, James is a water baby. I was the sort of child who, I could ride a pedal bike at 2, but reading, it probably took me till 10 before I was able to read. Swimming, I kind of fell into, and as a job, I went to university, Coventry University. I did 2 years. I dropped out. I needed a job, so I ended up working at the local leisure centre, trained up as a swimming teacher, and just discovered actually it was something that was very natural. I was always able to treat every child as an individual. My pattern recognition was very good, so I could look at a child, I could see what they were doing wrong, what they were doing right, double down, fix whatever area that needed fixing. And so I've been developing this system for the last 15 years. I've been tailoring it. One of the interesting things is, over the years of teaching, I've probably learnt more from looking at other teachers, borrowed from those teachers and added it to my toolbox. And I always talk to my team about building that toolbox.
It's really interesting you say that, because like every day's a school day. Like whether we're doing something in marketing or sales or customer journey, it's like the lid's never shut. We're always trying to add to that skill set, and I constantly want to make myself better. It's really like reassuring here, like other business owners are doing the same thing as well. So like how can you reach more children, getting this message out there? Obviously we're here on the podcast now getting that out there, but what can we do to get that out there even more, and what's next for Ducks to Water?
So I think that's an interesting question and a good one, because I still think we're quite early in terms of, in a school setting, parents are really receptive. They understand children, their needs. Over the last 30 years, they've understood that what school was providing hasn't always worked for all children. So in schools, the provision for children has changed and improved. Thankfully, it's still got to go a little bit further. I think in the swimming world and in sports, I still think we're quite early. There's lots of children who are being left behind, and educating parents on, this is what we do. This is how we do it. Talking to other swimming professionals and other sports professionals, and getting that message out that, the rigid system doesn't work for every child. We are trying to social media, trying to create content and create awareness. I've set up my own personal brand social media page, the swim teacher James, on Instagram, where I'm trying to deliver this content so we can get that message across.
I think, like, from what we've learned and through Instagram and stuff, like we're not here to teach people to swim, or but like the tidbits that we're giving, and the sort of the parent hack, the recipe that we have in the magazine, all those little bits of the bigger picture, giving those little bits away helps us get the bigger result. The result being either an advertiser or a subscriber, and we're happy. We want both, but like with you, it's sort of like, look, here's some information before you come to class. This is the system. This is what you're likely to get at. I think it's really important to showcase what you're doing.
Absolutely. One thing I've decided personally is I would like to give away as much free content or free advice as possible, because, if we can change and improve the way things are done within the swimming world, absolutely that's a good thing. It then allows parents to see, okay, this is how Ducks to Water are doing it. If my child goes to one of the Ducks to Water sessions, this is how it'll look. And my experiences comes from having ADHD and dyslexia, but the system that we've devised actually absolutely helps every child. You don't have to be a child who's neurodiverse. You don't have to be a child who is struggling. the system is engaging, it's fun, and absolutely every child, given the programme, will thrive because it's very child-led.
We often talk about our kids, like we did the local swim lessons in our local pool, and like it was a must-have for us. Like, keep your head above water, don't drown was our objective. Like, not very high standards, but we were just like, do you know what? We just want you to be able to hold your own in the pool. Like, I think my kids expected me. They thought I expected them to be like Olympic swimmers. I was like, I don't need you to swim lengths for days. I just need to know you're going to be safe. If you slipped in a pool or a lake or a pond or wherever we are out and about, I just need to know you can get yourself out of that. Obviously, I will dive in and save you. But to know that you can hold your own in the pool, and that's enough for some parents because that's us. But there are others that will go, do you know what? They've got a gift here. Let's push them. So is there next steps? Is there somewhere, can we push them for certificates and competitions and things through Ducks to Water?
Yeah, so, Ducks to Water covers, quite a broad spectrum from, children just starting out to children pre-club. We're not a swim school that claims, to be the place where we're going to take them to the Olympics, because we just absolutely aren't. We're a learn to swim provider. So we teach children how to enjoy the water. We teach children how to be safe in the water. We build all those essential skills that a child can then go on and enjoy swimming for the rest of their lives. We then have a good relationship with local swim clubs, and we absolutely push the children onto the swim clubs who we think would enjoy it, and number two, will excel at that, because swimming, this is one thing I want to kind of change. Swimming is a sport, but it absolutely is a life skill that will save your life.
It's 100% a life skill. Like, not being able to swim, to be honest, I think it holds you back. So, like,
definitely,
I am not the best swimmer in the world, but I can swim.
Yes.
And that's like, you can go on holiday, we can play with the kids. I just know we're all okay, we're all safe. And then I do find myself out my depth at sea. I'm not a massive fan of the sea because that's another beast in its own. But like, when we're in the pools, it's just fun for everybody because I know the kids feel comfortable and confident in it.
Yeah, I sometimes get phone calls from parents. We get to June, July, and I get a phone call from a parent saying, we're going on holiday, James. We'll if we sign our daughter up, will she be able to swim in time for the holiday? And I always think to myself, you're cutting it very fine.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to teach a child who's never swam before in 7 weeks how to swim. But what we definitely can do is we can teach them how to be safe around the swimming pool. We can teach them how to enjoy themselves in the swimming pool safely. And then if you go on holiday, mum and dad are in the pool with you, the children won't be getting upset, they won't be crying about being splashed, they'll know what to do, they'll know how to get to the side, they'll be able to shout for help. But we can't perform miracles. We can't teach a child from zero to swimming, in such a short space of time.
So we've known each other for a little while now, but one thing I've never done, I've never come to a session. So guide me through what are they? How long are the sessions?
Half an hour.
So walk through me a standard session. Like, how fun is it? Because that's ultimately what the kids want to know, right?
Yeah. So, for me, this is the crux of the philosophy of what we do at Ducks to Water. Our lesson starts from the door. As soon as the parent walks into the door, the child walks into the venue, there should be high fives, smiles, how are you doing? The child gets ready for the lesson, they sit on the side. The start of our lessons are absolutely telling us how your day is. How's your day? How are you feeling? The teacher's there engaging the child. We play a few games. We quite often hand on your heads, hand on your shoulders, try to see that that the children are receptive to listening, and then we start our lesson. We get them in, some movement. What we like to do is between skill acquisition, we always like to chuck in a game.
Nice.
This kind of comes from that kind of idea that children need breaks. You can get in a conventional session is get in, kick up and down the pool, let's do this, move on to the next skill. But it gets monotonous, it gets a little bit boring. So we try to chuck in games quite often, keeping the lesson pace nice and fast, slowing down where we need to, and then always making sure we end on some sort of fun.
Nice.
And we tend to find it's a good recipe. You're trying to have enough structure, because structure is important for children, very important for learning, but then also keeping it fun and engaging so you don't lose children.
And is that the sort of blueprint schedule for all the classes for all the ages?
So it changes. The younger children at the very elementary start of swimming is far more fun. Slower pace, moving at the child's pace. Very game orientated. Is the parent in the water with them at the early stages? So we try to take parents out of the lessons as early as possible, because we're the experts. I've always found the parent-child dynamic actually hinders a lot of the learning progress. So
that's why you've got more teachers in the pool. Yeah.
So we some of our preschool lessons start at 2.5. That's the early stages of swimming without a parent. Those children have to be able to follow instructions, and then separation anxiety for young children is a big thing, and so we work towards the parents being out of the lessons. Most of our preschool lessons start at 3. I'd say 90% of 3-year-olds who come to our lessons are ready to swim without a parent. And then our normal Learn to Swim program starts as soon as they've started school. Okay. So that formula it gets a little bit more rigorous, less games, still movement breaks. We still introduce games, but the games change, from handstands to, who can do the most forward rolls. So, as the children develop their skills and, become really quite competent swimmers, the games are orientated at that level of their swimming.
Brilliant. Like it sounds like a holistic approach. Like a lot of the businesses we got on here, it seems to be like they're not just focusing to one niche. They're approaching it like you are, from start to finish. Like we want to encumber everything and all the problems and solutions in that. So I think it's really wholesome to hear that that's how you're doing it.
Yeah, we try to think. Can we have a 360 approach? 180 is at the swimming pool. Something we're going to kind of try to deep dive into is trying to educate parents before the children arrive at lessons. So sending them videos, telling them what to expect, things that they could do at home, even how you communicate about your swimming lesson, because it all starts there. If you get a young child who's really nervous or worried about swimming, it usually starts at home. Something's happened at home, or they have you've got one parent who's not very keen on swimming, and children pick that up. So we're trying to have this 360 approach. Let's spend 180 around the lessons, before the lessons, the website, the social media, so as soon as you arrive we can then take over the other 180.
So let's walk into that a little bit more. So if there's somebody watching this now and they're going, do you know what? I think it's time for some swimming lessons. Right? Whether that's with you or any other provider, what should they be doing at home to prepare themselves to get in that water? So
let me just pick a 3-year-old, because at every age it's going to be slightly different.
Okay.
So if I pick a 3-year-old, it's always been my favourite age to teach. So. And it's a fantastic age to start. I always think, if you've got a 3-year-old and you want them to start lessons, first get in contact with a provider. I have this phone call quite a lot, and I talk to parents and I say, at 3, separation anxiety can be quite strong. So my approach is bring them along to the swimming pool. let them know they're just going to watch. The teacher at the swimming pool will make a big deal out of it. Let's say Daniel's coming along. Hi, Daniel, lovely to meet you. Come and watch. You can get the child to participate in playing on the side of the pool, watching a lesson, and then say the next week, come and join in. And I find if mum and dad say to Daniel, Daniel, we're thinking about you starting swimming lessons. Would you like to go and watch a lesson? Daniel will go and watch. There's no pressure, because I've found if a 3-year-old's not going to enjoy swimming or doesn't want to participate, the more pressure and the more you try and force them, the worse that separation anxiety, and they just really dig their heels in. So having this staggered approach, start at home, have the conversation, talk about it in a positive light, go and visit the pool, then participate in a lesson. And, in the years I've been doing this, if you take this approach, they all get in, they all start swimming, and the journey is fairly smooth. I think sometimes for a 3-year-old, expecting them just to turn up, meet a stranger, get on, get in, get swimming, we're just expecting too much.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we've done that bit, and now we want to. So how do we start that funnel? How do we get in touch with you? Because I know you're in a really cool magazine. You can see the advert in there. But then what next? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So we've recently just redone our website, and on our website it's www.duckstowater.com.
It's number 2 as well, isn't it? It's
number
2.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Bill, because we do get parents typing in
I know,
and then they get stuck. On the website we've got a request a free trial lesson button, and I think even especially for children who it's their very first lesson, requesting a free trial lesson, it means you upload your information on the website, we get the request through, we then give you a phone call, we can go through all this education process before you coming along. Because, if a parent says, my 3-year-old's really nervous, I would say, before you even come for a trial lesson, just come and see how we do it. Come and say hi, have a high five. And then it'll be plain sailing. So I think the website is where we like customers to first start the website. We've got Instagram. We're trying to get our socials firing up. But the website's definitely the place we would recommend people starting out.
So if they want that education on Instagram, what's the handle they need to look for?
It's Ducks, again with a 2, water swimming.
Okay, brilliant.
And we're starting to be a little bit more active. It's something, when you first start a swim school, the marketing side, the social media side,
the content wasn't top of the list, right?
No, it absolutely wasn't. And today I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more, where it used to be a real chore, a big slog.
Those business owners that enjoy the content creating and enjoy getting in front of the camera, I'm not shy of it. I'm absolutely fine with it. And since I've sort of leaned into it a little bit more, the more natural you are, and the better the result, and the more qualified the lead is to warm to you. It's definitely worth it. But if you are frozen and not up for it, it will reflect. So I think we've known each other a little while. I think you're absolutely in the right position now to sort of, pardon the pun, but dive into it. Yeah. How often do you hear that, by the way? Dive into it. I've held back. I've only let it out once, right?
Oh no, I like it. Keep it coming. I think for myself, I'm one of these people which I like to give things a go. But before trying to give social media a go, I had all these ideas thinking, what if it lands flat on its face? How do people perceive me? You get doubt creeping into the back of your mind.
I get imposter syndrome every morning of the podcast that we go to do. Even this morning, I've woke up and go, who do I think I am? What am I doing? And then I always remember I was at a conference last year, and they were like, no one cares. No one cares about you, Bill.
Yes.
It's just get that information out there. Just get it done. And I just have to go, I'm not a big celebrity. No one actually cares. They just want to be part of the system and see what we're doing and hear about the guests like you coming on and stuff. So
yeah, I absolutely love it. I love seeing what you guys are doing. I think Toddle About is a great business, great place to advertise. Like I said to you, we talked a little bit earlier off camera, and I was saying since we've rebranded, it's made quite a big difference, and our position in the magazine, we absolutely love it.
Well, we love having you there. Like this is a question that I do give the advertisers: is what more do you want from us? What more could I be doing to support you?
You see, I think you've always been at the end of the call, which is fantastic. One thing probably as we start to do more social media is talking to you about how can we get onto the Toddle About social media. Is there an opportunity to share and collaborate on something?
Like our door is always open. Like when on Instagram and you're sharing something, just always give us that tag.
Yes,
because we're behind the scenes. There's people there who are uploading the stories. Like we've taken on someone to help us with social media because there's a lot of stuff going on now. There's a lot of moving plates, and like we welcome that collaborator button. Like get us in. Yeah,
I think this year one thing I'm trying to do is kind of lean into that collaboration. Like I think in business, finding like-minded people, who are driven, who want to succeed, and kind of lean into those relationships. And it's definitely one Ducks to Water is going to be leaning into.
Like we love it. There's loads of amazing businesses in the magazine, and it's the ones that do collaborate and do work with us, like on a weekly basis, get the best results. Not necessarily. It's not always financially, but it's brand awareness, and it's those leads coming in, and it's like ultimately optimizing that online listing, and let somebody else and the tech out there do the heavy lifting. Let's work smarter and not just hard all the time.
Yeah, and you see, something I was thinking about as you were saying there is, even some of the awareness around swimming. We're not trying to say Ducks to Water is absolutely the only place who delivers lessons like this, but what we're trying to say is swimming is super important. Even it doesn't matter where you're swimming. I'm a massive advocate for swimming. We're trying to be the best swim school we can be. But there's lots of other great swim schools out there, and if you're a parent and your child isn't having swimming lessons currently, get them to your local swimming pool.
Yeah.
Get them having lessons, because deaths from drowning are absolutely preventable. And if we can educate our population, if we can educate parents, we can reduce that number. And that's probably number one on my agenda. Is can we make swimming more accessible, more fun, inclusive, and on the top of parents' radar.
I think that messaging's like real. Like it's like Ducks to Water is a brilliant school, but there's loads out there.
Yeah,
just get your kids in the pool and get them safe.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. So as we wind up, we always say, look, what's next for Ducks to Water, and what messaging? Like, I think we've covered a lot of ground, but I think it's the education piece that you're trying to push, right?
Yeah. So this year, one thing I'm really trying to focus on, because every child we teach, we have an impact on. Can we make our business better? Yeah, absolutely. We are focusing on that. We're doubling down on it. But the real big thing James Nugent's going to be thinking about is how can we educate parents? How can we give parents value? How can we let parents know what can they be doing at home? What can they do on their summer holidays? If they're going to their local leisure centre, what sort of things can you be doing with your child to help them? Because swimming lessons are a fantastic place to learn to swim. You get more than just a swimming lesson there. You're learning lots and lots of different skills, but there's lots of skills that parents can do at home. So yeah, that's the big one for me.
Brilliant. Look, I always say this to everybody, but I know we've had a chat previously. Let's get you back in a year's time and sort of see where Ducks to Water is. Let's see what Toddle About looks like then, and anything in between that you think we can be helping with, just give us a call.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Thanks, James.
Cheers, Bill.
So that's it for today's episode of Todd Talks. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you found something helpful, heartwarming, or just plain inspiring from today's chat. If you're a parent listening, I'd love to know, what do you want to hear more of? More behind the scenes with local classes? Tips from experts? Honest stories from fellow parents? Drop me a message at toddtalks@toddlabout.co.uk. This podcast is for you, and your voice really matters. And if you're a local business helping families and thinking, I'd love to be part of this, well, you can. Get in touch and we'll have a chat about how we can shine a light on what you do and connect you with families who need you. So until next time, take care, give your little ones an extra cuddle today, and remember, we're in this together.